Hansen, for example, for 20 years, he was working for the FBI and the KGB. He gave over thousands of documents, he identified assets, and he basically gave up the names of his colleagues, and many of them were executed. What is it like to meet and speak to someone like that and also be able to dive into their psyche?
Well, that's a good question because it reminded me of work that I did in my psychiatric training when, on a few occasions, thankfully not that many, I had to deal with people who had actually been murderers, um, in some cases of their own family. And in effect, what I drew upon was my medical training as a medical student, that you're forced to deal with the bodily parts, bodily fluids, horrible diseases, and you have to form a kind of detachment from that terrible stuff to be able to do your job. And because you see it as a higher calling, you force yourself to pull away from it at least enough so that you can maintain your own sanity. And you have to do that repeatedly. I guess the very first thing that pushes this upon you is at the very first week of medical school, you start working in gross anatomy laboratory with literally dead bodies that you have to dissect. And so right from the beginning, they don't pull the punches on you. And you're quite right. When I took on my second major spy, namely Robert Hansen, that was harder because of exactly the reasons that you gave. There was much more serious damage, and also people were executed. I had to go back to that same professional detachment that I developed in medical training because I had to see it as a higher calling that required me to do this. And my higher calling was, I felt that there was a deficiency of knowledge about what went into the minds of people who choose to cross the line, and the risk factors for our country are so immense that the lack of such knowledge was really hurting us in a very large way. And therefore, it was my duty to dial down my natural disgust, if you will, for what they had done, in the service of having to preserve my usual empathic way of dealing with people, so that I would get the information that I needed.
Wow.
A small subset of them will discover, oh, the way that I can manage this and show them is by crossing the line, because it's not me that's the failure. No, it's this damn place that I'm working for. And I know just how to get back at them.